How do you get salt out of the soil already there?
Add organic matter and leach it, basically. I mean, just the rains will leach it out, and then don't add it again. Because basically, when we get a good rain, it leaches the salts out of the soil, and as long as you're not adding them, you won't have a problem here after you eliminate it initially, unless you have a really, really bad soil, and then you will need some remediation. But I can't imagine you have that soil. Because the only place that that's sort of like ex-mines or those kind of things where they put mine tailings, that kind of stuff. So let's see what notes I missed here. I talked about fishing kelp, right? Fishing kelp is great. You can spray it on your plants, and it, like I said, feeds them, provides them stuff. Not making fertilizer. Chicken manure is great fertilizer, but like to do what Sue did, just make sure chicken manure with other things. And chicken manure, if you use it straight, it's too hot though, and it can burn some plants. So I let mine sit for a while. I actually thought of my permaculture thing. Okay. Any questions so far? Going too fast? Going too slow? Probably going too slow.
Dog waste,
Do not use, oh yeah, in compost, do not use meat byproducts. Oh, and someone said something, citrus. Do not put citrus in your regular compost. But what I do with citrus actually, that's why I have two piles on my kitchen counter. I have citrus in one, and I take that citrus and blend it up. And citrus is acidic, and blueberries need acidic soil. And so I actually go dig a hole by blueberries and stick it in there. But basically, you don't want to do citrus or meat products, byproducts, that kind of thing. Dog waste, absolutely taboo. Chicken waste.
Except for fish meat. You can do fish meat.
Fish you can, but then you might bring in more rodents too. So
Oh, okay.
as a general rule, I like to stay away from
Okay.
anything that was once living like that.
Okay.
How you doing? Come on in, Stacy. Sorry, come in.
Hey, it's
Okay, so water. What's the I gave it away already. What's the number one thing that kills more plants than anything in America?
gardening.
Yeah.
Very good. No, actually, too much watering. We water way too much. Way, way too much. For example, how often do you water your lawn? Every day? Any fun?
Every 3 days.
4 times a week.
You know, when I lived in St. George, Utah, which is like Las Vegas, very, very hot, I watered once a week. Because your goal is to water deeply and infrequently with everything you water. Water deeply and infrequently. And it's tough because there's so many variables. I mean, what type of soil do you have? If you have clay soil, the water will never drain, or it takes forever to drain. If you have sandy soil, the water drains immediately. And you know, if you have perfect soil, then it stays around for a little bit. So you know, you got to figure out these things, but generally don't water every day. Water infrequently but deeply. Anyway, so if you want to know on your lawn, we'll touch on lawns a little bit here. Basically, you want the water to go down 6 inches. So water your lawn, go out there with a trowel, dig down, see how far the water's penetrated. And then what you do with your sprinklers is, and then you keep watering until it gets to 6 inches. But after 10 minutes, if the water is running down the street, then you want to set 10 minutes, then let it sit for 10 minutes, then 10 minutes, and then let it sit, and 10 minutes until you get down to 6 inches, and then water infrequently. And if you water every day like Sue here is, shame on you, Sue.
That wasn't when my old days.
I can pick on you. Anyway, so, you know, then go every other day, and then go every 3rd day, and then go twice a week, and then go once a week.
So gradually wean.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you got to train your lawn. Also, you have to build up the soil, because once again, if you have sandy soil like I do for the most part, I mean, the water just doesn't stay there.
Yeah.
So you got to build it up over time. But in almost no case should you water every day, except very rarely when you have a new lawn. Because we talked about thatch earlier, and one thing, if you water every day, what are you training the roots to do?
Not go too shallow.
Exactly. And basically that's what causes thatch in a lawn, is if you fertilize a lot, like with Miracle-Gro, or monthly, and you water a lot every day, the roots actually do a U-turn, and that's what creates thatch when they go along the surface, because they're like these little children, I want candy, and you're the candy man. So, but if you water infrequently, the roots go down deep and they spread out. Same thing with every plant, you know, trees, any plant you have. If you just water infrequently, the roots don't get established at all. So, very important point. Okay, so and then if you, you know, if you plant, like I do some things in pots. I have my banana trees in a pot. I have asparagus in a pot.
How big of a pot? A pot or a pot?
I have some big pots.
Okay.
See, I sell pottery, and it's great because I sell them and they have one chip in it, so I have the defect of it, so I take it, you know. And then I just turn it, and so I have a $500 pot that I got for no job. Don't tell my boss that, but he knows. Anyway, so I have some big pots and small pots, and but anytime I plant in a pot, I use something like this, water retention crystals. They hold moisture. But not what my mother-in-law did. She used some of this and planted a bunch of stuff in her kitchen windowsill, and all the soil, when she watered, it all came out because they expand. So you got to factor that in. So if you plant in a pot, because that holds the moisture longer, and pots frequently will dry out a lot quicker than soil will. So you actually need to water pots more frequently unless you use crystals like that.
Is there a reason why you planted asparagus and artichokes in pots? Is it
Asparagus
just for
can
your
be
landscape,
invasive,
or
yeah.
because of it's better?
Well, no, it's actually not better. But asparagus can be invasive and spread, and so I wanted to contain it.
Okay.
And I just had a big pot that I thought artichoke would look nice in it.
Okay.
And then I put mint in a pot because mint is very invasive.
Yeah. So does it come up, just side note, but does asparagus and artichokes, do they come up annually? Like,
Asparagus comes up.
Is that true?
Yes, but the first year you plant asparagus, like I finally planted it just this year, you don't harvest it the first year. You have to wait for the second year.
Okay.
And then harvest the spears. And artichokes produce every year.
They do?
Yeah, we got one last year, and we're going to have a bunch this year. So anyway, so reduce your watering, and use water crystals if you're potting in put it in a pot. And what do we have here is terrible for soil. So I mean, it's high in salts and all those things. And so, but it's what it is. So you know, unless you want to buy a fancy filter, then don't. And just so you know, if you guys ever go to a hydroponic store, I recommend Grassroots over here. Just realize that most of the customers that go to hydroponic stores grow indoor tomatoes, which is another word for illegal plants. But anyway, but that's
Wait a minute, I didn't catch that joke.
Marijuana.
most people who are using hydroponic systems are growing marijuana,
Okay.
which you know, a lot of them,
I was so stuck on the tomatoes.
indoor tomatoes. That's what we call indoor
Tomatoes.
tomatoes. But I mean, you know, a lot of people grow legitimately because they have it actually is a good crop for some, or has medicinal purposes. Do you have a question, sir? No. Over here, I thought I saw. Okay. Anyway, so sun and temperature. So you know, obviously plants need sun. But one thing happens in Temecula that a lot of people don't realize, and that is in the middle of the summer, it gets too hot. Yeah. And a plant cannot move that much water through it, and so basically it is just surviving. You think it should be thriving because it's hot, you're watering it a lot, but it can't move enough water through its system, and so it's basically surviving. So, you know, the best thing to do in the middle of Temecula is to put shade cloth over your plants, and they'll lower it, but that's a lot of work, so, you know, just... You'll get your best harvest before it gets too hot and then after it gets too hot. But just something to keep in mind. But the sun is essential. And temperature, you know, obviously, I have, we've got such nice weather. I planted some things I shouldn't have planted, like tomatoes and some cucumbers, which are generally more warm season. But they're actually surviving, and but they need a certain temperature. Peas, for example, I wrote down some things. I gotta tell you, all the things I have grown, I went in my backyard before I came here so I can tell you my vegetable crop.
How big is your yard?
Not that big. 6,000 square feet is my lot size, is 6,000 square feet.
And you have all of this on in your
I
yard?
do. It's gonna be a jungle one day. Most of them are small still, because I've only lived there 3 or 4 years.
But it's so well planned out. I mean, his hedges are blueberries. Like, there's nothing that's not edible.
There's a
It's
few
just so
things,
cool.
but not too many yet. Because my philosophy is if I have to take care of it, I want to eat it. So I have, right now in my garden, I have Swiss chard.
Do you have this written down somewhere on your thing?
No.
Okay.
I have the fruit trees, the Swiss chard, cucumbers, tomatoes, potatoes, onions, fava beans, garlic, peas, which peas are cool. I always plant my peas, sweet peas, in the winter, like November, and then they pop up, and then they don't grow until it gets a little warmer, but they like cool weather. So, beets, broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, beets, broccoli, and cauliflower are all growing crazy because they like the cool weather. Spinach, doing great. Got a great spinach this year from France, which has a really cool taste. Lettuce, and then arugula. And anyone ever know what arugula is?
Yeah.
It is awesome on hot dogs. Have you ever had arugula on a hot dog? It's just delightful. And I have asparagus and mint and artichokes, so that's what I have.